This is the Razer Blackshark V2 Pro wireless headset, and this is the Corsair HS80 RGB wireless headset. Both of these headsets have been out for over a year now, and I'm currently in the market for a new gaming headset. I ordered both of these headsets on Amazon to sort of compare and contrast which headset I like better, and that 30-day return window is fast approaching, so I need to pull the trigger and make a decision fast. So let's go ahead and compare these two headsets out and see which one I like. All right, so first up, let's talk about my thoughts on the designs of each of these headsets. Design-wise, these two headsets are quite different and take different approaches with how they design the headset, but I like them both for different reasons. In regards to the Blackshark V2 Pro, as big as it might look on camera or when I'm wearing it on my head, it's actually surprisingly light. And that's not to say that it's cheap feeling either, far from it. A lot of times people tend to associate heft with premium quality feel, and no, this seems to strike a really nice balance with feeling very high quality while also being lightweight on the head, and it's really nice. As far as controls and ports go with this headset, on the back side of the left ear cup, you have a power button, a mute switch for the microphone, a 3.5mm jack to use with the included aux cord if you wish to use this in wired mode, and of course you have the port for the detachable microphone. Some people actually don't really like this. I can understand why some people might want something that could either recess into the headset or maybe flip up like some other traditional headsets, but I actually kind of appreciate that this can be fully detached because, you know, in case something breaks with the microphone, or if you want to just wear it like a traditional pair of headphones, you can do that. And I almost forgot to mention the big volume knob on the left side of the headset. It's got this nice little, I don't know if you call it an indentation, to sort of indicate the halfway point for this little volume wheel. Some people might not like the size of the volume knob, which is understandable. I was actually a little bit turned off by it at first, but it actually serves a very practical purpose because when you're in the middle of a game, it's really nice to just be able to reach and feel. It just has a very practical design, and I actually grew to really appreciate it. This particular model right here is the white model. You can, of course, get this in black. And yeah, I actually really like how this white model looks, especially in contrast with the black padding. In terms of adjustability, the Razer headset uses this sort of friction system with these two little metal arms. And you know what? It's actually pretty nice. The only downside is that sometimes when I'm playing, I find myself having to make these little micro adjustments because every now and again, if I make like a slight adjustment when picking it up and putting it back on my head or something, something just shifts just ever so slightly. It definitely doesn't sag for me or anything or droop down in the middle of play, at least in my experience. But yeah, just every now and again, I might have to make a little micro adjustment, which I don't know. It is what it is. It can get annoying for some people, but it's really been something that hasn't bothered me that much. Now with the HS80, Corsair seems to have taken a bit more of a traditional approach in terms of this headset design, and I will say has even maybe taken a page out of the SteelSeries playbook with this headband design. The outer headband seems to have this really rigid plastic material that almost with like a rubberized coating. Unlike the Blackshark headset, the ear cups do fully rotate if that's something that you like. And in terms of adjustability, unlike the Razer headset that relied on a sort of friction system, this utilizes a sort of ski goggle-like band similar to what can be found with a SteelSeries headset. However, instead of it, you know, strapping on the top like an Arctis headset, this one actually has little cavities inside of the headband that you can make minor adjustments with. The headband also in question has a sort of soft, very thin padding with a leatherette-like cover. It feels fine upon first impressions, but we'll get to that later. Moving on to the controls and ports with the HS80 wireless, it's a bit more sparse than what the Razer headset has to offer, but essentially offers about the same functionality. Along the backside of the left ear cup, you have a power button as well as a volume scroll wheel that can also click down to quickly toggle between the different EQ presets. There's also no mute switch to be found on this headset because the built-in microphone itself, much like many headsets out there on the market, basically just toggles on or off depending on the position of the mic. Whether you have it up, it's muted, or down, and then it's active. Other than the USB-C port on this headset, which I'm very happy to see, by the way, there are no additional ports on the HS80. So using this in a wired configuration is only really possible on the PC using the included USB-C to USB-A cable. If you're just looking to game on a PC, then that shouldn't really be a big deal for you with this, but if you're like myself and have multiple systems that you want to play on, this will only really work with either a PC or PS5. If you want to be able to use this with a PC and say an Xbox Series S or X, then unfortunately the Razer headset's the only real path you can go with, because Xbox is really weird with their wireless tech or whatever you want to call it, and yeah, the only way that you can use Xbox with this is in that wired mode. So I'd say that's more on Xbox, not on either of the manufacturers for these headsets.
Alright, so this is the microphone on the Razer Blackshark V2 Pro wireless headset, and I gotta say I'm a little disappointed, and let me explain. You see, when I got this headset, I got it because I saw a few videos on YouTube showcasing this microphone, and specifically when it was set to the broadcast preset in Razer Synapse, the software that you can use to sort of tinker with the settings on this headset. And when the broadcast preset was enabled, it seemed to really add a lot of character and richness to the voices that were testing out this microphone. I myself don't think it adds that much to it, and in fact I'll show you right now. And this is how it sounds with that broadcast preset enabled. And basically what it's doing is just adding a bit of low end and adding a bit in the, like, you know, upper mids to kind of give you that more broadcaster voice effect. And I don't know, maybe it's just my voice and how it sounds with this microphone, but I feel like this mic has a very limited dynamic range. It doesn't sound super clear and crisp at all, and it doesn't really give me a lot of that boomy low end that I was kind of hoping for with this preset. It's not a terrible mic, I have heard worse, and I do appreciate that it is fully detachable from the headset if I don't want to use it, or if I say need to get it replaced. I'm just not super impressed with the overall quality, and little things like, you know, I think it makes a lot of handling noise if I need to adjust the microphone, or even if I'm moving around, you might be hearing some little pops or clicks here and there. And even with this chonky windscreen, it does seem to be a little sensitive to plosives, you know, those P's and B's and that sort of thing. There are great things to be said about this headset. The microphone, though, just in my opinion, isn't one of them.
All right, and here we have the HS80 RGB wireless from Corsair, and I think it's pretty apparent that the microphone quality on this thing completely eviscerates the Razer microphone. The quality on this thing is excellent. I really don't have a lot to say on it. It's the headset that really kind of inspired this video, because I was initially going to just get this headset per Brendan's recommendation, and by the way, he actually did a review of this headset himself, and you should check that out in the description below. But yeah, as far as mic quality goes, if you're looking for a gaming headset with the best mic quality possible, this is it. If I'm not mistaken, the same capsule that's in the HS80 is in the more expensive Corsair Virtuoso headsets. There are a few nitpicks that I probably should bring up with this mic. First off, being in a few of the Discord sessions that I've been in with friends, they have told me that with this particular headset, it does seem to pick up maybe a little bit more of the background noise, things like, you know, your PC fan going, the HVAC, that sort of thing. I don't know if this video will back those claims up or not, but it wouldn't surprise me given the fact that the Razer headset's microphone is supposedly a super cardioid pickup pattern, which is supposed to be a little bit better with noise rejection and that sort of thing. But honestly, just given how good this microphone sounds, it might be worth considering that as a trade-off, especially since you have things like RTX voice or Discord's like built-in, I think it's Crisp, that background rejection software. Yeah, the microphone quality just is so good that I think that trade-off might be worth considering, especially if you're looking to do something like getting into streaming and content creation. This is a great way to sort of have a solid headset that also provides really good audio quality. I'm also not a fan of this fixed mic position. It's basically you have it up or down, and up it's muted, down it's obviously a live mic. And as far as fine-tune adjustment, like bringing it closer or farther away from your mouth, there really isn't any doing that, and you probably heard a lot of handling noise too. It doesn't happen a lot, but if you do bump the mic like that, it does pick up pretty easily.
In terms of how these headsets sound, they're both great in my opinion, but they have their different reasons. To me, the Razer headset has a bit more in terms of low end and bass, where the HS80 on the other hand tends to kind of sit more in the mid-range area in terms of the auditory experience. It's not that you can't make out the bass or anything, it's relatively balanced in my opinion. It just seems to be more focused in that mid and upper mid range, which is primarily advantageous if you're a big player of multiplayer FPS games. I tested these headsets on a multitude of games, designs, and they all sounded great on both of these headsets, and I put a lot of time in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone. And while things like footsteps may have been a bit more noticeable in the HS80, that doesn't mean that the Razer headset did a bad job with that as well. If you're worried about a competitive edge online, I think either of these headsets will work fine for you, especially since with both of these headsets in either IQ or in Razer Synapse, you can adjust the EQ settings to fit your personal tastes. In terms of battery life, they're both fine, although I do think the Razer headset performs a bit better. I didn't do a super thorough test, it's more anecdotal if anything, but basically the HS80 headset is advertised to have about 20 hours of battery life. I was never able to get that. I was only able to ever really get about 14, maybe 15 hours tops, and that's with the RGB disabled. The Razer headset, on the other hand, is advertised to have about 24 hours of battery life, and I never really had like a single gaming session that completely drained it. But yeah, with the Razer headset, I'd basically be able to get through 1 or 2 days worth of gaming before I need to charge it, whereas the HS80, if I had one really long gaming session and didn't charge it overnight, I would find myself possibly having this thing die on me next time I was in the middle of a session. When it comes to the comfort wearing both of these headsets, they're both great, but one definitely wins over the other, and that's the Razer Blackshark V2 Pro. And it's honestly, I don't mean this lightly, it's the most comfortable gaming headset that I've probably worn to date. And maybe part of that too is also because of this interesting swivel here with the headset that sort of kind of just contours to your head when you put it on. I just think that between the lightweightness of the headset to the really cushy headband, paired with the ample oval spacing and minor padding inside of the ear cup, it just all really meshes well together and feels great on the head. I don't know, it's probably not one reason, but the collection of different design choices that just really make this such a comfortable headset. I never have to find myself just like giving time for my ears to breathe because of heat buildup. I never have to adjust because something is getting sore. Again, I do make micro adjustments sometimes just because of how the friction adjustments kind of work, but in terms of comfort, no, this is great. I absolutely love this thing, and it's kind of what makes it hard for me to choose which headset I should go with. To be fair to the HS80, it is a perfectly comfortable headset. The only downside is that I have had to do some minor tweaking with it to make it suitable for myself. For starters, with the headband, unlike the SteelSeries headset that is adjustable at the top and easily accessible, I had to fiddle with just finding the proper sweet spot with the headband on the interior of the headset. It took me a bit of time, but I think I finally found a position where the headset sits just in the right place where it's not clamping down in a weird spot on my head, and it's perfectly acceptable with that. The only other nitpick I have is regarding the ear cups and the clamping force. The clamping force in particular, I don't know how this affects people with wider heads, but myself, I have a very narrow head, and just that was the first thing I noticed, was that the clamping force on this was pretty significant compared to the Razer headset. What I actually ended up doing was placing this over my Series X for maybe about a day or two to sort of break it in, and after that, the clamping force issue hasn't really been a problem. And as far as the ear cushions go, they do feel great. They are nice and plushy and comfortable. My only gripe is not necessarily a comfort issue, I guess. It's more, I don't like how it's this weird stitched fabric. I don't know what kind of fabric this is, but it's very susceptible to pick up things like lint, hair, and that sort of thing. So if you want all your stuff to always look pretty clean, maybe you might find this to be a little annoying. I actually am surprised at how, I guess, breathable this headset is. The material does seem that it would build up heat a lot, but after many sessions of playing like Call of Duty and that sort of thing, I didn't really have that issue. So I think if you just sort of maybe break in the headset a bit and you find that sweet spot with the headband, it's a perfectly comfortable headset. And it is a bit more sturdy on your head. So if you're someone who like moves around a lot and jerks your head in frustration or anything like that, yeah, it stays on your head nice, and yeah, it's a perfectly comfortable headset. All right, so moment of truth. Which headset do I end up going with? It's honestly a really tough decision. I honestly really wish I could just combine these two headsets to make the perfect headset, because this headset exceeds in certain areas where this one doesn't do well in, and vice versa with the Razer headset. The biggest strength on the Corsair is obviously its microphone. I think it has the best sounding microphone that gaming headsets can offer right now. But with the Razer headset, it's so comfortable. And I really find myself not using the microphone a whole lot because I personally already have a Rode Pod mic that I use for game chat. So I don't know, I kind of lean towards this one, but there's something about the Corsair headset that really just draws me to it. Other things to consider are things like software preference. Personally, I don't have a preference for one or the other, and I actually have a Corsair keyboard and a Razer mouse, so I'm not really brand loyal to either. Yeah, I don't know. I think if I had to make the decision for myself, because I have the pod mic already as it is, I think my decision would be the Razer Blackshark V2 Pro wireless. It's a great headset. It's super comfortable. The microphone is lacking. It is disappointing, but it does the job just fine. If I didn't have an external microphone, if you don't have an external microphone, then I would say that the HS80 headset is definitely the one that you should consider going with, just because of that microphone. It really is that good. But yeah, honestly, I might even have to sleep on this after this video comes out just to really make sure that I'm choosing the right headset. But yeah, I think for the sake of this video, so that it has something to end on, out of the two headsets, I think I'm gonna go with the Razer headset. So let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree with my decision. Let me know on what you thought with the microphone test and which headset did you find to be the best overall. I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, and let me know what current headset you are rocking with. And if you have any questions on the Razer Blackshark V2 Pro or the Corsair HS80 that I neglected to talk about in this video, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. And yeah, that's enough rambling out of me. Thank you so much for watching this video and checking out the channel. My name is Blake, and for all things tech, games, to really anything nerdy in between, be sure and subscribe to Digital Cynics. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you next time.